Here's the Facebook post which provoked me into making this video in the first place. It reads as follows. When I was 17, I also tried to be edgy by hating on the Beatles, so I get it. Okay, first of all, don't say stuff like that because you sound stupid. Nobody is lying to you about their musical tastes just to hurt your feelings, but I understand. This is a meme that's been going around lately. I keep running into it. And this meme is built on this belief that people like myself who enjoy music but aren't the biggest Beatles fans are simply lying to seem different or weird or stick out or, because we hate conformity. And that we're lying. And that whether we like it or not, the Beatles are our favorite group. Well, it just so happens that YouTube has an algorithm that creates mixes. And it's based on the songs that you listen to frequently. And I'm going to read my list to you. All right, here we go. Satellite of Love, Lou Reed. Stereolab, The Dave Clark 5, The Great Pumpkin Waltz, Vince Guaraldi. It's one of those Charlie Brown soundtracks. Ann Peebles, I Can't Stand the Rain. Now, I got into that song because of Missy Elliott. Hip-hop has provided, through sampling, has turned me on to a lot of new music. That's really what I've been listening to lately. It's a big chunk of what I've been listening to lately. They've done studies. They did a study based on, sound recognition technology. And they've discovered that the biggest impact in music since 1960 has been hip-hop. Not the Beatles. Chick Habit by April March. Autumn Leaves by Cannonball Adderley. Flammer Dance Band. Holder Rhyme by Flammer Dance Band. Fleetwood Mac, Tusk. Herb Alpert, Casino Royale. Portishead, Waylon Jennings. Stereolab. Everybody Loves the Sunshine by Roy Ayers. De La Soul, DJ Shadow, Miles Davis, Judy in Disguise. Liquid Cavern, Harry Nilsson. Lazy River by Louis Armstrong. ESG, MIA, Paper Planes, and Nina Simone. Mayor Daley, that's a Chicago band you should check out if they're still alive. The Beatles had a lot of great songs, but the best Beatles song is not better than the best Miles Davis song. There's no Beatles song that's as good as Sister Ray or Isaac Hayes' version of Walk On By, and yet here's Anthony Fantano repeating more or less the exact same thing I just read to you.
You're just trying to be and look different. And the irony of this is that there's so many people out there throwing out dumb, half-baked, cold, I hate the Beatles takes that you're not being original or interesting at all.
Well, maybe you're just pretending to have a boner for the Beatles because you want to get in good with those boomer critics over at Rolling Stone who put three albums in the top 5 greatest albums of all time. 3 Beatles albums. But they're not overrated. I'm the one that's unoriginal. I literally just heard you repeat what I just read off of a random guy's Facebook page. Not only that, I've heard Bill Burr say the exact same thing that you just said.
But somebody wrote the Beatles are overrated. That's another one. That's a big one. When millennials want to appear edgy, they go, they're overrated. Oh, are they? Oh, okay. Okay, well, maybe if you read up on the history at some fucking point. Jeez, I got a phone call. Hang on a second.
But I did read up on the history. I had to. Beatles fans make so many outrageous claims that I was forced to go down a rabbit hole and fact check every single claim. And here's a list of all the things that the Beatles did not invent in spite of what their fans say. They did not have the first music video. They did not have the first medley. They were not the first to use backmasking, double tracking, orchestras, tape loops. They did not invent sampling. They were not the first to use feedback. In fact, they didn't even use feedback in their song. They recorded one guy plugging into an amplifier. They didn't invent the double album, the concept album. They didn't invent indie, punk, or metal. And I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you an album cover. One of the best albums ever made. White Light, White Heat. This album cover came out a year before the White Album. They didn't invent that either. And by the way, that's an album that really knows how to use feedback. Now, when you confront a Beatles fan with those facts, they'll shift the goalpost and say, well, they were the most popular band to do that stuff. But no one's arguing whether or not they're popular. In fact, it's kind of the point. If you're trying to argue that the Beatles aren't overrated, boasting about how popular they are is not helping your case. They're overrated because they get credit for things they should not get credit for. That and 3 albums in the top 5 greatest albums of all time. Kind of Blue, A Love Supreme, Illmatic, Hot Buttered Soul, Food or Mad Villainy, Midnight Marauders, I Do Not Want What I Have Not Got. Are you kidding me, man? When people say they hate the Beatles, it's kind of like when somebody says, oh, it's like there's this guy in your high school and he's really popular, right? And you meet him and he's the most boring motherfucker you ever met. And you walk away going, I hate that guy. Well, you don't really hate that guy. You hate how people react to him. Right? Nobody hates the Beatles as much as they hate Beatles fans. And also, they hate the Beatles. I mean, the voices, the songs, the themes. Every song's about love. Every song's a love song. Except for that one song where George Harrison is whining about having to pay his taxes. And if the Beatles aren't overrated, what's with all the screaming? We've all seen clips of Beatles fans screaming at their shows like they're witnessing their parents being murdered. It's disturbing. They couldn't even hear the music, which kind of indicates that it wasn't really about the music. That seems overrated to me. Take Louis Armstrong. Do you think Louis Armstrong is a real true musical innovator. You think people were at his shows screaming bloody murder at him when he was trying to play? No. They shat the fuck up and listened to the music. And by the way, if any of you happen to express to me that you are not a Louis Armstrong fan, don't worry. I believe you.